Let's face it, the pro wrestling industry has its share of bad eggs. No, not the dastardly villains that we see on TV each week. I'm talking about the real-life bad guys that, for whatever reason, fans and colleagues just seem to hate. We took the names that always seem to come up in interviews, news reports, and eyewitness accounts and put them in a poll for you to vote on at kayfabecommentaries.com, and you did. So let's go now to the wrestlers themselves as they help us count down the top 5 men that you voted wrestling's most despised. You know, we'll never know for sure whether Jose Gonzalez actually did or didn't murder Bruiser Brody in cold blood. But one thing's for sure, wrestling fans have made up their minds, and he's guilty of being the number 5 most despised man in our countdown.
I really don't know enough about him to even comment on him.
I know that, but I don't know anything about him.
I don't know him.
I don't know much about him.
I do not know the gentleman. I know about the situation that happened with Bruiser Brody, and I can't comment on that.
I don't hate the guy. He didn't do anything to me, so.
Well, he had, I mean, everyone knows this, but to explain it, he was the man allegedly responsible for murdering Bruiser Brody. So, plain and simple, that's why he's on the list.
I know some Jose's that live in the hood, the Mexicans, and half of them named Jose Gonzalez.
Jose Gonzalez, the Invader, the man who killed a legend. He's number 5?
Yeah.
Who the fuck is 1 through 4?
Allegedly in Puerto Rico, he had allegedly Bruiser Brody the few days before, a week before, was just being very uncooperative about everything, and the two of them had issues with each other, and he called Brody into the shower to talk to him, and he allegedly knifed him and killed him.
You know, I've heard so many versions of that story, you know, that he found his kid in a pool dead a week before it, and Brody was done, you know, I mean, here's so many things.
That's just something that's sort of like wrestling legend or wrestling lore throughout the line. Nobody really knows the real story, and the point is that someone's not with us anymore, and I don't know the guy to even say that he is a terrible person, if indeed, allegedly, that's what happened.
I heard Tony Atlas go and do an interview about him one day about how he did, and I'm like, okay, why are y'all talking about it now? You know, why didn't nobody say it then? You know, so if you got all this information, why is the man still walking? So that showed a bitch in Tony Atlas. Just be like, oh, I was there when he killed the Bruiser Brodies. I was right there, so I sure was, my so. But he didn't ever go to court as a witness. So I'm sorry, Tony, but hey, it is what it is. And that's for telling me that I got you horny at that last WWE signing, you little fag.
I mean, Brody's handing a photo of his son to Tony Atlas. Hey, can you draw my son? Hey, Brody, can you come here? What the fuck? And he's number 5? Is the guy who shot the Pope on the fucking list too?
Steve Corino told me that Tony Atlas was chasing him around the hotel. Steve said he went in his room and locked the door. He said, I don't know if he said he got in the closet or the bathroom. He said, but you can hear Tony Atlas run up and down the hall all night long. Steve, and he said, oh, and Steve said he kept rubbing his thing. Tell me, Steve, I sure wanted to put it to you. And Steve, dude, ask Steve Corino.
I've met guys like Tony Atlas, and I've met Dutch Mantel, and I've read both their perspectives on that fucking horrible day, the horrible, horrible thing that happened to Bruiser Brody. And I can only imagine, you know, what I would have done, you know. Granted, I was there when Owen Hart died, and, you know, just the shock of, you know, Owen Hart dying. But the thing is, you know, we had hope that, you know, Owen would come out alive and Owen would have wanted us to go on the show. And when Owen died, we were all zombified. I mean, we're just like grown men crying like infants. Nobody really knew what to do. What would I do if the promoter of the company stabbed the top fucking babyface? It's just unfathomable. You know, if that happened in ECW, we would have fucking banded together and fucking went after the guy who killed our friend.
I haven't heard a lot of stories about, Brody that said that he was really easy to do business with. And, maybe I would, knowing of my own experiences in life, if I pulled my kid out of a pool a week before, I might be a little bit on edge.
Oh, well, he thought it was funny. Last time I had interaction with him when I was working for Savio, and I had to sit around all night waiting for my fucking pay. He thought it was funny to ask me to come in. Do you mind stepping into the shower, amigo, to pay me my money? And I'm like, yeah, that's what I got to do to get paid.
The only thing I know about him, he killed Bruiser Brody. And when I came and worked with Savio, people was like, Jack, that's the guy that stabbed Bruiser Brody. And I was like, okay. And a lot of people were scared of him. And I'd be like the only one to go up to him and talk to him. But he would come and talk to other people and they'd be like this, oh shit, I hope you don't have a bruiser moment. Ooh. And I mean, you could just tell the boys would be like, oh God. And I would always, and they said, Jack, how can you talk to him? He killed Bruiser Brody. I'm like, okay. And?
I was actually in that locker room, and Dutch Mantel was like, yo kid, where you're sitting? And I'm like, I'm pretty sure it's Bayamon at the stadium. And he's like, died right here. He's like, this is where Bruiser Brody bled to death. And I was like, fuck, you know what I'm saying? I didn't even realize. And the locker room was smaller than this hotel. It was like half the size of this hotel room. And he's like, yeah, this is where it all happened.
Tell you a little story. When I was in Puerto Rico in 2003, I was working for Carlos Colon. Chris and I were. We were supposed to be there for 2 years, but we left after 6 months. It was just horrible. He worked on a few shows with us. Everybody was kind of okay with him in the locker room, but nobody liked him because of what happened. For what he did and to get away with it, he knew people in high places, had enough money to pay people off, and which was bullshit. I actually worked the building that Brody was killed in, and everybody said you have to walk into the shower. You just have to. It's something you have to do. Like, people would not use the shower. It was almost like taboo, but you had to experience just going to the shower. And I kid you not, when you walk into the shower where he was killed, you got an instant chill over your body, and it was just like this eerie, cold feeling. It was just, and here's the thing too, everywhere in Puerto Rico that you work, there's no air conditioning. Everything is like steaming hot. It's like 102 degrees and humid inside of every building, and like wetness and moisture. You walk into the shower and it was like cold.
Puerto Rico, when I was there, it's a great place to wrestle, but as a heel, which I was going down there, it's a little scary with the fans. As long as you respect the other wrestlers, you're not gonna have a problem. But I did perceive it to be a little more old school, which in some ways is good. In some ways, they can be a little rougher, if you know what I mean.
When I used to shoot pictures in Puerto Rico, first time I went there, on each corner of the ring, they had a guard that looked like Fidel Castro and an attack dog with the guard. So to say I was nervous when Carlos Colon, the hero, the Hulk Hogan of Puerto Rico, back then when Hogan was over as the biggest babyface, would come out, and then his opponent, his perennial opponent, Abdullah the Butcher, would come out. The stuff that was thrown, the passion of those fans is unlike anything I've almost ever seen before.
I had a friend who worked in Puerto Rico, and his gimmick was come to the ring with a baseball bat, like Sting, kind of. And the promoter's like, brother, keep the bat with you at all times. And he's like, sure. So he's walking down the street. Fan tries to come out with a fucking screwdriver. And he has his bat, and he fucking hit the guy, knocked him out. I think he killed him. They had to fucking sneak my friend out of the fucking country.
There's a terrible tragedy, yeah. But, I can't base my total opinion on one person's one action.
There's a lot of people that killed people that I can't expend energy on hating. In my whole life, I don't expend energy on negatives. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason that I need to. I only have enough energy in a day as it is. I'm almost 50 years old now. I'm not going to expend my energy on hating you. I'll expend tons of my energy on loving you, but hating you,
Jose Gonzalez, not a very well-liked man.
Probably one of the most bizarre stories, because I knew both of them. I knew, you know, Brody, great guy, but this is wrestling. You know, you're doing a business. You're dealing one-on-one with people with egos. I knew Jose Gonzalez when he was here in the United States, before he was the Invader, when he wrestled in the WWF. He was a nice guy back then, but you never know what makes a person snap.
Oh, gosh. Was that ever proven?
it's not in the top 70 conspiracies to me, so I think he did it.
He never got arrested. He never paid time for the crime, did he? I mean, what are these guys like? These people coming up with this list, they work for CSI or something? What are you going to tell me? The people said he did it, so we did it? Please, come on. I better be on the top of this list. That's all I got to say, or else I'm really going to be disappointed.